You are watching another episode of Shane Solomon Meets, brought to you by the Cornwall Channel. I'm your host, Shane Solomon, and today I'm meeting the wonderful Matthew Kenworthy Gomes from Cornwall Pride. I got your name right. I'm so over the moon with that.
Literally, and you pronounced it perfectly as well.
Get in there. Matthew, it's always a pleasure to be in your presence, sir. You're absolutely superstar. I've known you for a few years now, but my goodness, how life has changed in those few years. How would you sum up the last couple of years and the development of yourself as a person and Cornwall Pride?
Wow. 2 years, 3 years, a whirlwind. It's such an incredible journey. I think remembering when we did the Cornwall Pride show through COVID, when we had to cancel it in 2020 with Lucy Start.
What a star she is, yeah.
Yeah, she's absolutely brilliant. And even having the conversations before with the bus tour and kind of understanding what we can do together. From then, all the work that's gone on behind the scenes with Cornwall Pride into creating it the charity that it is today, with what we've just done this year with the 11 community prides. It's been such an incredible journey, not only for Pride, but yeah, absolutely for me as well, and kind of learning the ropes, understanding what needs to be done to be able to develop forward and connect a cohesive community.
Well, I also want to mention that today, when we're recording this, is actually Mental Health Awareness Day, and we'll come on to that in a short while. But today, Cornwall Pride has certainly become this amazing kind of community, no question, and what you've done and your team is incredible. It's just so huge now, and I'm sure you say that you want to make it even bigger, but I want to find out more about you today, Matthew. Who is Matthew, and your journey, and when you first figured that you were different, or, from the other people you knew. Do you know what I mean? So wind that clock back. And I know we were talking briefly in the green room before recording this, but, you're 5 years old.
Yeah.
Take me from there.
You had to bring this one up. Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew I was gay when I was roughly around 5. And I'm very open about the experience. And there's an incredible film called Top Gun. There's an incredible actor called Tom Cruise. And I have a huge crush on Tom Cruise, not so much the Scientology stuff now.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, absolutely him. And from that film, I knew I was a little bit different. My family are Roman Catholic, and I started from 5 years old as well, going through the elements of communion, and I really felt like even such an early age, I didn't fit in. And I was different. And kind of that element of existence was really challenged. Yeah.
See, this subject, I said to you, fascinates me because I look at people, and again, I said this in the green room, I look at people as people, whether you're gay, straight, transgender, whatever you are, and what you identify yourself as, to me, you're a person.
Yeah.
And I'll look after people, as long as I live. But where are we now with society and people being gay and stuff? Because, generations, my grandparents and things, they, bless them, didn't get it, whatever. But then, where are we with things now,
So I think even from like when I was 5 to when I am now, the reality is the world that we grow up in is very much spearheaded towards a cisgendered, heteronormative lifestyle and world. And what I mean by cisgendered is born of your gender and sex, and heteronormative is heterosexual. So I think that because something that isn't cisgendered and heteronormative, it's someone that isn't either of those or understands themselves as different, it's going to be really difficult for them to grow up. It's going to be very difficult for them to exist. It's going to be very difficult to, even for myself with, for example, my husband, to hold hands walking down the street and feel comfortable without actually, are those eyes looking at me in a, that's a cute way, or is that that's not a really cool thing way. Even like perfect example, we were at Boardmasters and we thought it was a really cool, safe place to be in, and we were wandering around with holding hands again, and yeah, we were still getting the same type of looks, and we were getting we had got a couple of really nasty jeers as well. So where are we now? Yes, on the outside set, people say, "Oh, do you know what? Come on now, get on with the times. Everyone's accepting it's woke or whatever." But actually, the reality is, yes, people may say that, but people that are living that are different or think themselves or are however they identify, or be it through gender or sexuality, it's going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult, and that's absolutely true for mental well-being as well.
But it's got to be all conditioning as well. I mean, people being gay, lesbian, that's not just happened within the last 100 years.
Absolutely not.
Do you know what I mean? So there must have been thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
year dot, it can't just happen, can it? If you're born a way that you feel you are,
Yeah.
It's just, but then the conditioning of, the reason why you see, I better not get into this as a scenario, but people do things because of the way we've been conditioned before. Our parents, the grandparents, and they've all done things a certain way. So you just conform and you just keep doing the same thing, right? But I think now, certainly the way I live is that just be open-minded.
Yeah.
I think we're living in a time now which is a really good time, to kind of just be who you want to be, I guess.
Yeah. It is. I think for kind of from that, talking about conditioning, and it's a conversation, and you will understand where this leads from. But it's been, for the queer community, it's been over 2,000 years of oppression. And there was a particular book that was written, or not written, but expressed to be 2,000 years ago.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's been such a long time, and not only a mountain to climb, there are still many more mountains to climb, but it's been that uphill struggle for people to feel safe enough to literally be who they want to be, and express that they are in love with someone in a safe way. It's bonkers. And because we've been told that man is with woman, man has child, man grows, dies, man works, woman works in for child, that's kind of that's the world that we've been told. And actually, through women's rights, through the vote that happened over nearly 100 years ago, and the protests, that actually, kind of taking away from the LGBTQ plus community, if you look at parity, so kind of when everything's the same, it's expected that it's going to take at least another 100 years minimum for there to be equal pay for women.
Sure.
But that vote and that protest happened 100 years ago, so that's nearly 200 years. Only 40, 50 years ago, it was decriminalised to be gay.
Yeah.
So we've got a long, long way to go for us people to feel like society can change enough to actually allow everyone to freely be who you want to be, and love who you want to love. And kind of that element of conversation through discrimination, I'm going to talk about football a second, but the stuff that gets shouted at football matches, or in what can be seen as banter, there is no real safe banter, because you don't actually know how that other person's going to take it. So if you're saying something that's nasty to anyone, in reality, that person, so you say it to your friend, that person might take it away and might think about it, and might have some real lasting damage. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's absolute rubbish.
It is absolute rubbish.
The words and the sentiments and the emotions that are past you throughout your entire life make you the person that you are today.
Indeed.
And if you're told you cannot be something, so for myself, I was not allowed to be gay, and I broke free of that. I came out of the closet when I was 14, and at that moment I genuinely thought I was going to lose my mum and my entire family, because I was breaking their heart, because wasn't Catholic. They told me that I had to be something different.
Yeah.
So because of that, I really, really struggled as a 14 years old, and I experienced suicide at that point. And that's because the world's told me I have to be a particular way, and I'm trying to break free of that.
Yeah. Wow. And that leads me into the kind of mental health and the state of, how people who are still probably could be watching this right now and thinking, I'm gay, I've not told anyone. But how does mental health fit in around this? I guess it's obvious, but it's frightening statistics.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for allowing me to share this. So I think from everyone knows, and there's so much incredible work happening here in Cornwall around mental health. There's George's Voice, there's The Voice, and there's obviously Man Down and Sea Sanctuary as well. Loads of different elements of peer-to-peer support. And that really comes from experiences of people's mental well-being. But actually, when you look at the stats, so something like, obviously, really difficult to express, but everyone's aware of this now, that the biggest killer of men between the ages of 18 and 55 is them taking their own life, so suicide. And that accounts for 0.4%. When you include gay men, or when you specifically look at gay men, that becomes a stat of 4%.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I myself, at least every year, I will lose at least one or two people that I know.
Yeah, that is frightening.
Within the gay community. And I've got friends in it's not necessarily Cornwall, but Cardiff, Wales, and in London, in England. Yeah. For lesbian women, it's 3%. It is the killer. And for our transgender community, at least half of the entire transgender community have looked at taking their own life within their lifetime.
Yes.
And then kind of that element of well-being as well, where within the LGBTQ plus community, 1 in 8 have depression, whereas it's 1 in 10 outside of that.
And how do we combat it, though?
I think, how do we combat it? In that there is a much bigger piece where actually being different is actually brilliant, and I think, like take bullying for example in schools. People are bullied for being different, for being short, wearing glasses, for being clever.
I was bullied because I was fat.
Yes,
I'm still fat. But to all those bullies,
you are the person you are.
Yeah, big boned, covered in meat and gravy.
But it's actually it's how do we spin that on its head? How do we express that being different, being beautifully different, is actually the cool thing, is actually the brilliant thing? And I think that's one of the things that Pride does really well, is actually celebrates all of those differences, all of our marginalised groups, all of our intersectionalities, brings them all together. And that's a much bigger picture. That's a much bigger piece. But actually, kind of from right now, today, we've actually started our own peer-to-peer support, which is called Penguin Soup, which is amazing. I'll explain it briefly with the name.
Yeah, mashing up penguins or anything.
Yeah, we're not eating penguins.
No.
It might taste like put name on. So with Penguin Soup, penguins are well known to increase the serotonin levels in people.
That's great.
So when you actually look like the film Happy Feet, and actually physically seeing penguins in Frozen Planet, which is on the TV at the moment. Soup, there's a maybe not the best country at the moment, but there's like a Russian proverb of a man going into a village with a bowl of stones to make a soup, and actually everyone from the village comes in to help and add different ingredients, and they all have a soup together. And so the idea around Penguin Soup was to be about the entire community. It's not just about the LGBTQ plus community, but it is dedicated towards, because there isn't a dedicated mental wellbeing peer to support group above the age of 25 in Cornwall, so we've started one. So Cornwall Council have supported us doing that through the suicide Prevention Innovation Fund. And we have great workshops. So we've got aromatherapy, we're doing outdoor workshops, we're doing planting workshops, and it's really simple, kind of how you're feeling now, sort of at the start, how you're feeling afterwards. And we're kind of using the elements of distraction therapy to have conversations with people so they can feel like they can open up and just talk about it. And we've developed this as a co-design because within our team, we all have well-being challenges, so mental well-being challenges. And I know I've obviously described what happened to me when I was 14, and something very similar happened to me when I was 21. But the more I've started talking about it, the more I'm aware of my own situation. And look, that element of whatever might be a duvet day, or in 2020, I had nearly 8 months of my entire world, my brain, or whatever was going on. Obviously, COVID was happening at the same time, but it was a really, really horrible place. And then I started working with Babs and the Chaos Group, and that completely changed my immediate outset. But still, like every day, that element of do I feel right? Do I exist right? Do I want to continue with the like Monday morning, but do I want to wake up, or do I want to get out of bed, or what is those things? I think by having those conversations, by being a little bit more open about it, by going, actually, I'm not feeling the greatest today, and sharing that with your team, your friends, whatever it might be, and not hiding away from it, has been, for me personally, I can't speak for everyone else because everyone has loads of different coping mechanisms, but for me, it has literally changed my world. Since we've done Penguin Soup, and since we started opening up about it and having that element of conversation where I've described what I'm describing now today, has been phenomenal.
I could talk to you for hours. We don't have hours. But I want to just touch on Cornwall Pride for a moment. Now, you were telling me in the green room that you are probably one of the only Pride organisations that do more than one or two in a county, right? Because you're, how many have you got now?
11.
11. So, goodness me. What's the latest with Cornwall Pride? How can people get involved? You know, because I know you see a lot of people, 40,000 odd people, I think, go through these events of yours and celebrating Pride here in Cornwall. How can people, you know, what sort of people would you like to connect with?
So I think one of the most amazing part about Pride is when I'm going to a bit of a shout out to Lee Trewella.
Lovely though.
Sat down nearly 5-6 years ago and doing an interview with Lee, talking about Cornwall Pride, and then this statement comes up. I end up saying it's all about loving who you want to love, be who you want to be, and I just paused that moment, like I might need to take that to the team because that's it. And it's been, as I said earlier, it's been that whirlwind of a journey because we want to be able to understand that it is about being who you want to be. It is about loving who you want to love, but it's not just the LGBTQ plus community, and it's not just about the queer community. We have a great collaboration of organisations with Black Voices Cornwall, with Transparent's Presence, with Queer Kerno, Chaos Group, and Bude Pride, for us to kind of create this collaboration of people to bring all marginalised groups together that might feel a little bit different, to be able to celebrate and have something that's inspirational. Loads of people go, actually, why does Pride exist? What's the point in Pride? You know, you've got your laws now. Why do you need to prance around and have a parade? Well, for the people that do feel different, for the people that don't have access to prides or safe places, every single year, every single Pride, we will have a piece of feedback that comes back to us, and it's that person sharing, it is the only day I feel safe.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's why we do it. If we can just have one person that feels like that every single event, then it's phenomenal. And there's this incredible story from Penzance where it's on our website, and it describes about this person's been really, really ill, and They've got well-being challenges, and they hadn't been out the house. They've been to the doctors and the hospitals, and they hadn't been out the house for nearly 4 months or so. And they like a little bit apprehensive to come to Pride. But that one day that they ended up going to the Pride was the first day in years that they actually was able to be happy and be themselves. And yeah, if we can keep doing that, incredible. And next year we plan to do the same again, the same 11 community prides in the same location. We're going to be bringing back the bus tour, which is going to be very exciting for LGBTQ plus History Month. We're looking at Cornwall Pride Ball. We're going to continue with Penguin Soup. We've got organisation and training to be able to support with inclusion coming in. We're looking at something much bigger for Truro, for Cornwall Pride, which is very, very exciting. And we're seeing more than 40,000 people, but it's not about being bigger. And yes, we will see more people and that going on, but it's actually about more people accessing that freedom, that more people feeling safe, more people being able to see actually there's all of these great, incredible groups doing loads of different things. Come on board, see what's going on. Babs, we did a Pride 2032 conference, which we'll do again next year for Pride 2033. Bit confusing. And she was actually saying that what she wants it to be mainstream. So we want to be able to use this as a mechanism to say, actually, everyone's different. How do we celebrate that more? And for us to be able to do that, for us to be able to be as not necessarily successful in doing that, but to help in that society and kind of look at how why bullying happens and much more is we need partners, we need more sponsors to come on board, so we can continue to do the work that we do. We were really fortunate with a lottery community fund grant, which we need match funding for over the next 3 years for us to be able to develop, but like for myself and the team for the last 7 years, we've been doing this out of a huge love and grit and determination. And now we're in a situation where we're employing 5 people. It's just been phenomenal. And we want to make sure that we build this to create safe space for the people in Cornwall. But look, how can we replicate this safely across different areas of the UK? We've got evaluation, which we believe it's the first external evaluated Pride anywhere in the UK, which is being run at the moment, to look at our warts and all, because it's not all great, it's not all fantastic, that we'll have loads of challenges. We'll make loads of mistakes. We're a new team. We want to look at how we best deliver risk, or we kind of become a little bit rebellious in what we do, which is great. But actually, how do we then learn from any of those challenges and being totally and utterly and unequivocally transparent in every single thing that we do? So if we get it wrong, we want to know, so we know how to make it better. Or actually not necessarily how to make it better, or just learn.
Every day is a learning day.
Every day is a learning day, but you have to accept when you get it wrong, so you can do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done many of those, and I'm, in my 40s, and I'm still making mistakes. But it's making those mistakes how you learn and make things better. Well, Matthew, I knew this was going to go past the 10-minute kind of curfew that we have on LinkedIn somewhat a lot. And I could keep talking to you, but I've got to go and meet up with a dear friend of ours, Brock, at 1:30. But it's been fascinating catching up with you today properly. We need to do probably a proper edition one day when we're not so rushed. But you are an inspiration. When I see you at networking events and things like that here in Cornwall, whether it's chamber, whether it's your partnerships or anything like that, you kind of light up the room, so your energy and everything that your team's done around you, be really proud of what you've done, because I know how hard it is just running a business. So if you're running a business, well, here's a business organization, charity, but with its challenges where you've got some of the public not quite getting it, it's like an extra, so you should be very, very proud of what you and the team have done. Honestly. Wow, there we are. Look, if you're not connected to this man, make sure you connect with him. He's on all the social media platforms. Are you on TikTok yet?
Yeah, they're trying.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I'm trying to stop being a dinosaur and have a go. But you're on the obvious ones: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
And everything we do through Cornwall Pride, so at Cornwall Pride,
Yeah.
it's all there.
There it is.
Yeah, come and join us. Come and join the fun and the journey and celebrate, support, and inspire.
Indeed. Well, there we are. Look, if you know anyone else doing anything remarkable here in Cornwall, I would love to know about it. Please send me an email, shane@cornwallchannel.co.uk. As always, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Jay, who's been producing for us today. But for myself and Matthew, we will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.